I like Thief. It's a grim, energetic story of a high-class professional jewel thief and his battle to get everything he wants out of life. A house, a wife, a baby, and a lot of money. To get it all without interference from the mob. James Caan plays the thief, an ex-con, and the woman he is after is a waitress, played by Tuesday Weld. Here he shows her a card filled with pictures from various aspects of his life.
What is this?
That is my life. Nothing, nobody can stop me from making that happen. And right there, that would be you.
Who's the old man here?
That is David Oakler Bertineau. He's a master thief, a master. And a great man. He was like a father. He taught me everything that I know about what I do. And I told him about you.
Did you cut these out from magazines and...
Yeah, newspapers, whatever.
Why do you have all of these dead people?
Inside, you are on ice from time. You can't even die right, you know. And here, people grow. They get old, they die, children come after. Just a cycle, you know.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You do.
You don't know from one day to the next whether you're going to be killed, go home, or get busted.
Look, I have run out of time. I have lost it all. And so I can't work fast enough to catch up, and I can't run fast enough to catch up, and the only thing that catches me up is doing my magic act. But it ends, you know. It will end. But I got this. Right there. It ends, it's over. And so I'm just asking you to be with me.
I can't have children. I don't fit into it.
One of the things I like about Thief is that the outcome of that robbery is not the most important thing in the movie, whereas it usually is in a caper film. Instead, Thief is a portrait of a man trapped in a grim business, and except for the film's extremely violent, slow-motion, bullet-filled moments, I thoroughly enjoyed Thief.
I agree with you, Gene, and in fact, I liked it, I think, more than you did. I think this is the best movie so far in 1981. I liked it for two reasons. First of all, I really felt that this movie understood the expertise of the professional thief's job.
I agree with you.
I felt it knew what it was talking about. And secondly, a lot of the time in thrillers, you get stock characters. You've seen them 100 times before. The people in this movie, each and every character, was a person that I could feel was a plausible human being.
I like the supporting characters even more than James Caan's central character. And there's one guy in particular I want to mention. Robert Prosky is his name. He's a Washington stage actor. He plays the mob boss who gets his hooks into Caan, which really is the most dramatic part of this film. Not just whether they can break into the safe, but whether he can break out of the grips of this mob boss. And this guy Prosky, first time I've seen him on film, marvelous, very real. That's what is good about this film. The reality level of it is very exciting.
Okay, so we're both in agreement, right? Okay.
Hi, and welcome to Ward 13 Goes to the Movies. Today, Erich, Pilcher, and I are going to be discussing what I consider a classic film from 1980. Or it might be 1981, Erich, I'm not sure.
80.
1980?
Yes, sir.
Thief. And I probably shouldn't be looking over at you on the monitor there, since people are going to see you there. First off, Erich, for the Matt Connerton Unleashed show, you've done some reviews, and I believe you did a Michael Mann review of a Michael Mann film. So why don't we pass it over to you, and you could tell the audience about Michael Mann and his career.
Well, Michael Mann really started in television. Thief, which is the film we'll be discussing today, is his first feature film after he did a made-for-TV movie called Jericho Mile.
Right, which was the actor in that who, oh my God, he played Rudy in Rich Man, Poor Man. Peter Straub got an Emmy nomination for that. He might have won the Emmy for that. It was a very good television movie. When TV movies TV movies in the 70s were not quite what, you think of you don't call them TV movies, but stuff on cable TV is done at a higher level with bigger budgets. So a lot of so-called TV movies were, not even up to the level of a B movie, but this was an outstanding example of a TV movie, and he wrote the script for it.
Yes. He did Thief. He's done...
Thief was his first feature film, you told me.
Yes, Thief was his first Hollywood feature film. Some other great films he's done. You're a fan of this one. I personally haven't seen it. Manhunter.
Yes.
Last of the Mohicans. He also... My favorite film of his, other than the one we're discussing today, has to be Heat. Just brilliantly done.
Tell us why Heat is kind of related to Thief. Why don't you, while I'm looking something up, give the... when did you first see Thief? Did you see it before I asked you to watch it?
I saw it right after James Caan passed away.
That's the first time you saw it?
Yup, because it coincided with Barnes & Noble's 50% off Criterion sale.
Right, which is every year, right?
Twice a year. It's biannual.
Yeah.
So it was... The Blu-ray was at my local Barnes & Noble, and I picked it up and was just blown away. You really see a lot of Michael Mann's motifs in this film. He uses bright, vibrant city landscapes to drive his films mostly. He
is a person that at the time this film came out, people were a little puzzled by it because Michael Mann created a new type of style of film, I would say, that later on, as he starts getting more popular, they'd say, particularly with what was the TV show that people credit to him, but he really, he had a lot to do with, but I don't think he created it. But what was the series that he's famous for?
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice, right. And people would say, oh, he's got an MTV style. And good old music television. And the cutting and the vibrancy of the colors. And you have to remember, Eric, when I went to see with my father, stepmother, and brother Chinatown, which came out in 1974, it was advertised as, people say it's, and some of the reviews, it's a return to classic filmmaking. And then it was a story that starts from A, goes to B, C, even though it's a mystery and you go over to D and you might be a cul-de-sac. But it was a straight narrative. Whereas with, you think about John Boorman, Point Blank, 1967, which is one of Lee Marvin's biggest hits, which is just it's all cutting and the time is all off because, he is a criminal that's been nearly died and killed, and it's kind of like you're in his brain and he's insane. And so suddenly, in the 70s, we went back to kind of, in Hollywood film, a straight classic narratives a lot.
Right.
Even in Apocalypse Now, that goes from A to B to C to D to E, although it meanders,
Yeah.
But it's a narrative. But, and this also starts A, goes B, C, D. But there was something about it that really threw a lot of critics. And I think the primacy of the visuals. Can you describe the visuals of... do you know who shot it? Who was the cinematographer?
I can look that
No,
up.
you just talk about the images. I can look it up.
Well, what he does in Thief, again, and you can disagree with me, John, is he really encompasses the urban landscape. He brings it in. There's this, almost as if he immerses the viewer within this urban landscape that James Caan's character is a part of.
And the city is Chicago. Chicago. It's not New York. It's Chicago, yeah, which is not a city. You know, we've seen. I grew up with the Untouchables TV series, so you always see like Chicago, but it's a back set of New York. You know, little New York on like Universal back lot or MGM. This was Chicago, and it has a different sensibility, a little different. These are like Robert Prosky, who Gene Siskel mentions, was a great stage actor. This was his first film, but he came out of the Goodman Theater in Chicago, which had just started to create this generation of actors like John Malkovich, Gary Sinise, and who played the father on oh geez, just go on. I'm having a senior moment, which I'll edit out, folks.
Michael Mann does this so frequently in so many of his films. Even the movie he did about John Dillinger, Public Enemies, he really puts you into the environment. He does it. The environment is a part of the film. It's almost as if it's a sub-primary character. Collateral is the best example of this in how he draws you in to these areas, and that takes place in Los Angeles.
Right.
So it's not like he uses just one area or one city. He goes to these different metropolitan areas, and he's able to do that through use of camera technique and lighting and how the characters interact with the environment with simple little nuances, such as naming authentic side streets that they'll travel down, or using at the end of Thief.
Well, no, you don't get to the end of Thief. We don't go right there. You know, we don't give away the ending, unless you're going to talk about the aesthetics. Gene Siskel actually dissed the ending. Most people haven't seen this film, Eric.
Oh, right. I understand. The aesthetic, the look of it looks like a Chicago suburb.
Well, I have been to Chicago many times. My father lived outside there, and it doesn't really look like Chicago. It is a stylized Chicago. I wished we could have all the time. We've already run out of time. If we showed all the clips now, we'd be up against the wall, you know? The thing is the colors are so vibrant, where Chicago's a very gray type of city. The color, his use of color is amazing. Now, James Caan he's a thief. He's a professional thief. He is a safe cracker, and he is at the top of his game. And there is one scene where they have to break one part of the plot. They have to break into a safe that is just so well made. He's actually a jewel thief. He goes after high-end diamonds. To get into that for the thief to get into that safe takes a lot of planning. And what he has to use is a rod to burn the metal in the safe to knock out a part of it. But when you're watching it, the visual is so spectacular. He really uses images. We often forget, when I love silent film is a different medium altogether because it's moving pictures. It is pictures, you know? And although there are scenes of dialogue which are great in this, of course, in something that's like a neo-noir or film noir, the dialogue is going to be to the point and rather sparing. And but he has these incredible visuals. When he burns through that door and they place the camera behind, and just the colors he uses. And I'm colorblind. So there are a lot of directors, and Michael Mann is one of them, in Manhunter, which is the first and best of the Hannibal Lecter movies, in my opinion. They remade it later as, what was it, Red Dragon. Which, nowhere near the Michael Mann version. And he uses different colors, like blue, which is a color which means a lot to me, or red. or green. Now, see, green is a color I don't really see, but it's all coordinated with the action and the theme. That's like a David Lynch film with the use of color. And I think his style is so intensely visual. And
Yes.
I'm using, I've got IMDb, which I wrote 700 things for. I don't write with IMDb anymore. So it's just an Amazon.com feeder. And it's all full of errors and stuff now. But I can't get onto the site that shows the full, it's just... This is another segment I'll have to cut out of the replay. But let's start with, let's go with what's our first scene, Brendan? Number one.
The opening.
Oh, well, then number two. This is James Caan at the beginning, pulls off a heist of diamonds. And then he goes to see his fence. And this is going to set everything in motion. Let's roll number...
Put your hand out. Oh, just smoke, thanks. All right. What do you make it? It's 59. D4 to VSI 1. Got 1.5 to 3 carats spread. 550,000 wholesale. I'll make 185,000. Take it myself. Fine. Have someone swing around tomorrow. Look, these people want to meet you. What? They're stand-up guys. I don't want to meet. I want to meet people. I go to a country club. Okay. By the way, you want me to put some of your end out on the street? Barry will collect it. Down to Brett, 3 this afternoon. Yo, double your money. 3 months. My money goes in the bank. You put your money on the street. You give me the check. Yeah.
I was just talking to Erich whether that was an actor or not, and I guess he was an actor that had been in other movies. What an eccentric casting choice, but it's the type of stuff he does that puts you right into the movie. And I think James Caan got put down in the reviews by Gene Siskel and Ebert, because everybody was putting James Caan down for being Sonny, playing Sonny all the time. Where actually he was a very talented actor that until he played Sonny, he played all sorts of roles, and had a wide range. But, it was that tough guy image that became associated with James Caan. But I think he's excellent in this. What do you think about Caan's performance?
I think he's amazing in it, and I really disagreed with Siskel and Ebert on that when they're like, "Oh, he's just playing a tough guy." Frank is a very complex character in this film.
Oh,
I mean, that just greatly diminishes what Caan brings to the table with this film.
When Caan has because what this film really is about is James Caan has been in jail since he was a teenager, and he's only been out a few years. Because he's put in for petty theft, but then he had to kill somebody to save himself. And so, he's done many years in prison. And it has warped his point of view to say, yes, it's warped his point of view, which is a major point of view. I'm really Erich, by not doing the shows, I am as stale and rusty as you can get. And but Jimmy Caan had a dream when he's in prison. Now there's one of those graphics I sent you, and I can't remember which one it is. It's the card. Do you have that, Brendan? Right. Jimmy Caan's character, which is Frank, who has been in jail or has been a criminal all his life, carries around with him this card, and he has a dream about what life is going to be on the outside. One of the things, if you see over on the upper right-hand side, is Okla, which is his mentor from prison, who's still in prison, that was played by Willie Nelson. There's the Cadillac over to the left, and there's the family. That was at the beginning with Tuesday Weld, when he's decided that she is going to be the wife and the mother of the kid that will be part of this dream of his. But there is a scene, Erich, we can go back to, you can drop that now, where they're trying to adopt a kid, and Caan is there, and he asks the woman that, because he, finds out that he is a convicted felon that was in prison, they can't adopt the kid, and he gets very angry, and he says to her, you're from the suburbs, right? You don't understand what other people have to go through. And he's just brilliant in that. When he's,
Oh, yeah.
I wish we had the clip for that.
That's probably one of the more powerful scenes in the film.
Right.
Because that's the scene I was really alluding to when I said he isn't a tough guy. He's a complex character.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's sitting there telling this woman that, no, I can provide this kid a good home. I can teach him from my mistakes.
Right.
And, this woman is just like, well, rules are rules, basically giving him the bureaucratic red tape. And you can see the heart and the warmth of this man that really wants to give a good life to this kid, and he's just being shot down.
But then again, what it comes down to is that they probably know him better than himself. Just like Leo, you see, that was Skaggs, the fence, said, somebody wants to meet you. And that's Leo, who is a crime boss or a capo, and wants to meet Frank. And Skaggs winds up dead, which brings him into Leo's orbit, Frank. Frank has an idea what life is, but he's never lived this life, Erich. And he's really a jungle cat. He's an animal. As he explains to Tuesday World, he had to survive in prison. He had to live right in the moment. And he has to be always on edge. And what his thing is, because he's lived in prison, or it's just part of his character too, as a beast from a jungle, is that he does not want to be controlled by anybody or anything. And that he would think about having the normal life with the family. There's a trap that he doesn't really think so much about.
I see on your application here, by the way, you misspelled male. It's M-A-L-E. The other is what we put in post boxes. I see you put under employer 1959 to 1976, Joliet State Penitentiary.
Yes,
You work for the state, I take it?
after a fashion.
What did you do with the prison?
Desks. I spot welded desks, and then I got promoted to shoes.
You were in charge of the shop?
Lady, I was a convict. I was doing time.
You were what?
Frank, let's go.
You have to understand, we have more applicants than children.
Then why do you still have kids here? As a kid, I would not be falling all over myself to stay in one of these places. I mean, we will relieve you of some of the burden.
The point is, we establish criteria for parenting and an ex-convict compared to other desirable.
Wait, so we'll take a kid that's not so desirable. You got a black kid, we'll take a black kid. You got a chink kid?
You don't seem to understand.
No one likes older kids. You got an 8-year-old black chink kid, we'll take him.
Frank.
Wait, if it's a matter of, here.
What is that?
What is that? That is the flawless 3.2 carats emerald cut.
This is not a marketplace.
Right. You're not smart enough to take this any more than you are to recognize good parents.
Get out of my office.
Well, you did not ask about us. You didn't ask what kind of people we are. There is a child waiting, and you are denying us him and him us. Who the hell are you?
Don't make a scene.
Our criteria.
Your criteria? Your criteria are so far up your ass they can't see daylight. This is bullshit.
It's not happening. Let's go.
Look, I got some ABC type information for you, lady. I was state raised, and this is a dead place. A child in 8x4 green walls. After a while, you tell the walls, my life is yours. Would you grow up in the suburbs?
Yes.
Right.